are here. Red is still fucking sick. The fucking football world is talking all sorts of shit, and we're here to cover every single motherfucking piece of it. Let's fucking go. It's first round playoff reaction time, baby.
And live from a completely different location than I normally am from, so I'm having to use my phone. Because if I was sitting where my computer normally was, you'd have the friggin' sun glowing behind me.
Well, yes, because you don't live in the East Coast where it's dark as shit.
Listen,
outside.
I found this cord plugged into your house. Your house was glowing like the friggin' sun, so I put two and two together and found out you were pissing me off.
And as you're going to hear through the entire video, my voice is still shot because I had a hellacious fight with something that was either food poisoning or a stomach virus all day Saturday during these playoff games. So,
considering
apologies.
That Notre Dame Indiana game, I don't know. Maybe Notre Dame poisoned you by proxy after the video.
No, I think I know what the suspect is. I think it was food poisoning because it was coming out of both ends, number one. Number two, it was probably the mushroom burger from Wendy's that I bought. That fucked me.
Damn, son.
The Wendy's I went to in Cincinnati definitely was subpar. I could tell by the drink and by the fries. And then I ate the mushroom burger. The mushroom burger tasted pretty good, but then it got me good. At the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm here. I'm still alive. I felt like death until 3 a.m. Sunday. So we're here now, and that's all that fucking matters. Welcome back to the stream. Obviously, damn shame about not doing the Ohio State game live due to, hugging the porcelain god all day Saturday. But
your furious match with the Thunder Bucket.
Yeah, I had a fight
gold-headed toilet seat.
I was worshiping at the altar of the porcelain thrones. The sewer rats were having a fucking feast. I tell you what. Now, enough being disgusting. Let's talk about this weekend.
To go from one part of disgusting to another.
Yeah, because this playoff first round, I'm going to kick us off because I want to make sure I'm giving my voice a little bit of a break. Here and there tonight, but I'm going to kick us off by just saying this. To those of you who were expecting these games to be classics, to be, instant classics and knockdown dragouts, or if you were only expecting Tennessee, Ohio State to be one of those, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you at this point because the problem that I think we ran into is one that has been something that has plagued college football in the postseason since the playoffs began, honestly. You go back to the 14 playoff, how many years in a row did we have semifinals that were fucking blowouts? Let's just be honest with ourselves here. Even in years when it was just 4 teams, there was plenty of blowouts. So
I think more of those semifinal games.
That right there, honestly, should have dampened some of our expectations. But the on-campus setting for these games, fucking phenomenal, dude. My God. Seeing Daryl Royal, I can't say the fucking name right now. Seeing the Longhorn Stadium, seeing Happy Valley. Stadium. Yeah, Daryl K. Royal Stadium, seeing Happy Valley, South Bend, Columbus show out.
Don't you mean Neal North?
Yeah, about that.
We'll get
seeing those games show out, the environments, the atmospheres, man, that beats NFL playoff atmosphere. I fucking guarantee it. I think the people that were there could say without a doubt better than any NFL playoff game they could have ever gone to in terms of atmosphere. 100,000 screaming, fanatics cheering on college football. You don't get that in the NFL. Now, unfortunately...
By the way, Red, hold on a second. I just want to say, fuck every single one of you that was complaining about the ticket price being down. That's how they should be. You shouldn't be charging a fucking arm and a leg to get into these goddamn games. And why would colleges do that to begin with? Technically, these games, most of the crowd that's going to these games are the fucking kids that go to these colleges, for fuck's sake. Anyway, continue.
Okay. I don't know where that came from. I mean, Alpers got a hold of all these tickets early, and they tried to resell them, realized they weren't going to sell at these stupid high prices, and hopefully they do better next year to curb the lesson. The playoff games themselves, that was frustrating. It was frustrating because there were definitely ways we could have avoided games like that from happening in the first round. We could have tried to find a way to get, games that were more competitive. That all said, I'm of the opinion personally that what the fuck do you expect the College Football Playoff Committee to do here? With the rules we had this season, with automatic buys going to the top 4 conference champions, what the fuck did you expect the committee to do here? Because you got to remember something, guys. When the committee has their hands tied and they're forced to put teams like Boise State and Arizona State into the first round, and teams like Penn State and Notre Dame or Ohio State or Texas have to stay in the first round, don't get buys. Basically what I'm saying. It's going to cause blowouts. And I don't think anybody can sit here now and say without a shadow of a doubt that Penn State, well, I'm going to argue Penn State's fraudulent, but that's when we get to that game. Ohio State, begrudgingly Notre Dame, definitely fucking belong in the first round on a bye.
Well, except Notre Dame can't because they're independent. Remember that. They should have been the
That's
5th
what I'm
seed.
saying. The rules of the playoff this year required conference champions to get that first round bye. And I understand why they probably did it. It's because they want conference. You should be rewarded with a first round bye. Hey,
repeat that. You're cutting out.
I get that in the playoff.
Could you repeat that all once again? You were cutting out.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi. I'm hooked up directly to my router, and it still does this shit because I have a shitty laptop. My point is this: if you're in the playoffs, but if you're in your conference, but you go 9-3, do you really? Or if you go 9-3, 8-4, 7-5, God forbid, yet you're still ranked in if you win the SEC. Does anybody in their right mind think they belong in the playoffs?
No.
I'm not saying that's what we had this year, but Clemson shouldn't have been in there. No. That's the one team I could say with certainty after reviewing everything, they shouldn't be in there. And I know some people might think, oh God, come on, man. They played the best out of anybody.
That is true.
Did they though?
I mean, it looked like it was going to be a track meet at first, but Texas just outran them. Quinn Ewers actually played like he fucking should.
But then, of course, towards the end, it honestly, if Clemson didn't get stopped on the goal line, it would have been a game. It would have only been down a touchdown.
It was looking like Texas was going to choke for a hot minute. And then I think their running back or one of the receivers ripped off a massive touchdown right after Clemson scored. Like, oh, that's done. Good night.
Yeah. Before then Clemson was driving down the field, and it looked like, okay, wait a second, Clemson ain't out of this just yet. And then they got stuffed at the goal line, and then Texas got the ball, and I don't think they ever gave it back.
Pretty much, yeah.
I would argue that. And the only other thing I want to point out here, but because I want you guys to get your takes into, is this. There's a lot of people saying that Indiana shouldn't have been in. Okay. There's a lot of people saying SMU maybe shouldn't have been in. Okay. There's people saying nobody's saying Tennessee should have been in because of SEC bias, in my opinion. Let me ask you a question.
Everyone shut the fuck up on that one.
Let me finish my thought, and then I'll let you go. How in the fuck were you going to know SMU was going to get blown out against Penn State? They went undefeated in ACC regular season play. There are only 2 losses, non-conference against BYU, who finished in the top 4 in the Big 12, I might add, and Clemson, who won the ACC championship. Anybody tell me how that, in any light, would have told us that they didn't belong. Indiana, yeah, sure. The only team they played was Ohio State. That was a tough opponent. Okay, fair.
And they got blown out.
They lost by 15 to Ohio State. They gave them a tough first half, and then Ohio State pulled away in the second. I was there in person. I saw it. And Indiana did also get blown, and then they got throttled by Notre Dame. They were just out-muscled, and they were the less physical team. Okay.
Remember, this is important to remember. That final score does not indicate what the game was.
I'm aware. I'm not counting that. That's why I said Notre Dame out-muscled.
Let me say this. With 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, that score was 27-3.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll explain why that happened.
Indiana got 2 touchdowns in garbage time, and ironically, they ended up being the closest score.
Yep.
What I'm going to say in terms of why I still think Indiana belongs in the playoffs. Do they have any fucking control over the conference schedule?
No.
Do they have any control out of conference schedule? No. And the reason why is because they schedule these games years in advance. Do you really think 5 years ago when they were scheduling schools like FIU that they were going to know, hey, we're going to hire this guy named Kurt Signetti who's still coaching in FCS, and he's going to turn our team around into a fucking powerhouse. We should probably play a tougher opponent, see if we're actually fraudulent or not. No. Tell me, do you have a better way to level the playing field on conference scheduling? And if you have it, please put it in the chat and we'll decide it. Because frankly, the only way you're going to get that argument eliminated is if you balance the deck in the Big Ten and in all conferences. And frankly, getting all conferences to agree on one thing is hard enough, let alone agree to do the same thing for all their schedules. Alan, please.
Well, wait, hang on. I wanted to say quickly, jump in there. I wanted to quickly throw things out. Throw this thing out. Well, actually, 2 things. Let me say this. First of all, the case with like Texas having a pretty easy schedule, like Indiana. The thing was they had it was mentioned in Matt Mitchell's SEC roll call for the schedule chaos back at the before the 2023 season started off. But the whole idea is like we base the schedule off teams' performances for like the past 10 years. 10 years, but we were in Florida. We were only good for one of those years. Please don't hold that against us, Tennessee. Do you know how many coaches some of us went through in 10 years? And I guess that's kind of the reason, because Texas hadn't been too good for 10 years, except for that 1 year where they got to play Georgia, where Bevo charged to Uga, and then
Bevo got banned, by the way.
Yeah, he's not going to the Peach Bowl.
Anyway,
and then we had they had the 2022 season where Oklahoma was now on the downturn. But that's the thing; they were already kind of like strengthening that schedule up. Which pans into that whole idea of how do you get more balance. The only way I could see it is if you can kind of be able to make it like the NFL, or to where if you finish first in the division, like the next season you'll be playing everyone that finished. In your respective conference, you'll be playing all the number 1 seeds. In said conference, and then all that. And I just don't know how you work that with, in terms of not only getting it to where you can have the scheduling for all the schools of which school you go to and all that stuff, who you playing, but then to add on top of that, you have the non-conference opponents and all that stuff. That some of these you have had, like Oklahoma, don't they like play Clemson in the 2030s or something? I think. Yeah. It's just like they've already like gotten some games organized that far ahead, so it's absolutely crazy.
Oh, Alabama plays Ohio State in 2 years. They scheduled that back in 2020, I think.
Yeah. So I want to read off some tweets that I shared in our group chat on Discord that kind of encapsulate a lot of the things that happened this weekend, and also covered some of the bullshit that was going on social media, because people were just talking out of their fucking ass. So let me start out with this. Hey, Lane Kiffin, get off of fucking Twitter, you moron! That's a start. From Jeff Schwartz, SMU and Indiana offensively showing how tough playing on the road in these environments can be when you're not used to it. Facts. Fucking facts. That's a big one right there. Tom Fornelli, y'all don't love college football. You love your opinions on it. And this was in response to somebody talking some bullshit. And a similar tweet from another dude Y'all don't love college football. Y'all just love the brands, man. On this analogy right here, I fucking love this one. Every time one of the have-nots in college football grab one tiny morsel of the sport's biggest spoils, the establishment loses its shit and insists they're unworthy and must be beaten back down to serf status so the lords can continue gorging at the feast of plenty. It's exhausting. And it's not just the teams, it's the fucking media. It's the fucking media. Oh yeah, Billy, happy Festivus. Yeah, so this is Festivus, but we're
for the
airing out
rest
our
of us.
grievances. How about that? Um, yeah, this is just. I am disgusted by the amount of bias and media bullshit that's been going on. Like y'all were like people on fucking ESPN and whatever ranting about SMU, ranting about Indiana, and then as soon as Tennessee gets their asses kicked, nobody's talking. In fact, it goes. I saw one tweet, I think from either Reddit College Football or Sickos Committee, talking about how they had a fucking segment on ESPN after the Tennessee game where they're talking about Boise State having a bye. Like, what the fuck? If you're gonna rant on SMU and Indiana, then fucking rant on Tennessee. Shout out Squidtard, who Red collabed with for the preview videos. He came out, uploaded his Tennessee video today, and he is a Tennessee fan. He went urinating tree nuclear on them the way that Tree has done on the Steelers in recent times. And people compare him to Tree anyway, so it makes sense. But y'all need to get off of these teams' dicks, man. Y'all need to stop with the bias and stop with the bullshit. The NBA is having this exact same problem with the media being biased towards all of the bigger teams and not giving a damn about the smaller teams. Why do you think we were all throwing jokes around when it was Milwaukee versus Phoenix in the NBA Finals a few years back? Because ESPN couldn't go to sunny LA. They couldn't stay in New York. They had to go to fucking Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Phoenix, Arizona. And that's
What
okay.
a fate.
Because,
Man, Milwaukee is
because
beautiful in the summertime out here.
Sounds like the World Series last year when it was between the Diamondbacks and the Rangers.
Right? Yeah, what the fuck? That was awesome.
Exactly. And it's
Not
funny,
really
which is
awesome
funny
as an
as well
Astros fan. I did
because
not like seeing the Rangers there winning it.
well,
Whatever.
but
Finish your point,
the
Alan.
the other thing with that is the fact of the matter is that like fans are gonna have their takes and their biases and whatever. The media needs to stop being biased because you're feeding into that. You're justifying why fans are biased a certain way or another. Not to mention, again, like I said, the NBA is having this problem. Charles Barkley goes on Inside the NBA or whatever the fuck that
Terrible.
show is and talks and says, "Oh, Houston doesn't know how to play basketball," when they were in the Final Four of the goddamn NBA Cup thing. Their mid-season tournament. And yes, the mid-season tournament's kind of bullshit. I don't care. But you still don't fucking do that. You're supposed to talk the team up. Houston is probably the youngest team outside of Oklahoma City in the fucking league. What are they doing? Yes, Akbar, go ahead.
I wanted to quickly say that NBA Cup thing. I honestly feel like part of that's like they looked at like the Premier League or a lot of like other European. 2 seconds.
Sorry,
You're good. Okay, well, we'll get back to Akbar in a moment.
I'm back.
All right, you go ahead, Akbar.
Sorry, I got people coming through, so I had to turn off for a second. But I was trying to say the Premier League, like the English football pyramid, they got like the FA Cup, they got the Carabao Cup or something.
Exactly.
But that's like throughout the whole season. Meanwhile, the NBA Cup is like they're quickly doing it all at like the start of the year or something. I guess tied over until we get towards the.
It's to try to help with ratings, and unfortunately, NBA is having a shitload of problems with ratings, but nobody knows the exact problem. Whether people are saying it's because of 3-pointer, people are saying because every team's doing the same shit. Whatever the fucking case may be, but that's besides the point. The reason why I bring that up is because the media needs to fucking talk up the smaller teams. Stop shitting on them just because your favorite team is sucking ass. And
All
to
right.
all the Alabama fans, stop fucking whining. Y'all do not fucking belong. Go undefeated next year, win the SEC, get your asses back into the fucking playoff, and then you'll be all right.
Okay,
I'm
maybe don't lose to
sorry.
Oklahoma by a blowout loss either. That might help that a
Exactly.
little bit.
Thank you. Like,
I'm sorry.
the amount of just bad faith takes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I started laughing when I saw Volbill's comment because he was doing a reference to Blark and Son. He's in the walls. He like pulls out a gun. He's in the goddamn walls.
All right,
that's
I'm gonna
funny.
counter a couple of things here. I'm seeing a couple of messages in chat about Kirk Herbstreit. Now, I'm not. Akbar will be back in a minute. He's not in his normal location tonight. I'm going to counter a couple of things here that I've seen in the chat about Kirk Herbstreit. I understand the dude has been a controversial figure in college football, mainly since the Florida State snub last season. I just want to make one thing clear. He's got an opinion and he shares it. I personally don't agree with some of the things he says, but I'm not going to crucify him because of that. If anything, I'm more inclined to hopefully prove maybe he's wrong at some point. So maybe it's because he's a son of Ohio. Maybe it's because I saw his interview on Pat McAfee today where he clarified his stance, saying he's just trying to make college football better for anybody, and he doesn't claim to have any sort of bias towards any team, which as a former Ohio State player himself, that could be tough to do in the media. But I still would say that his opinions, even if you don't agree with them, should be weighted more than, say, somebody like Stephen A. Smith, who arguably is not that much of a college football guy. Shannon Sharp, who's not that much of a college football guy at all.
No, absolutely.
I would rather take a hot take from Kirk Herbstreit and Paul Feinbaum even, who have lived, breathed, and been in this sport for decades now, and weigh that out against other experts who are in the field today on, your Auerbach, your Nicole Auerbachs, Chris Vanini's. I would rather, get a healthy dose of both sides and then come up with my own opinion than, take First Take's word for any weight.
No, I
because
understand that.
First Take is just a drama
are not
pool.
Conditioned that way. Fans today don't care because
fans today can be, and I'm just going to be honest here, we can have horse blinders on at times and only be able to look in one direction. And that's no fault of anybody. It's just human nature. If you're an Alabama fan and you're used to being a dynasty, you're going to be saying, yeah, we would have played better against Notre Dame because we beat them in 2012.
Exactly. And that's the funniest thing. Alabama's 3 losses were on the road. What the fuck are they going to do in cold-ass Penn State or Notre Dame?
The best football teams find a way to fight through the cold. The one thing I want to make clear is that the weather is an equalizer. It doesn't give any one team an advantage over the other. If your team is good enough to beat them on a neutral site, you better be good enough to beat them when it's 30 below. Okay? It could be tough for warmer climate teams. Indiana plays in Indiana. Then they went to Notre Dame when there was still snow in the bleachers and got their asses whipped. You know what I mean? Clemson went down to Austin, Texas, where it was a balmy 60 degrees. Got their asses beat by 2 scores. Tennessee, they're not that far from Ohio at all. I think on Saturday it was like just barely above freezing in the Smoky Mountains. SMU is the only team where you could realistically make that argument, but I don't think the multiple turnovers thrown and interceptions by SMU were because of the cold.
Oh yeah, no, that was just Kevin Jennings being ass. Like, I'm sorry,
Kevin Jennings was just having a Kevin Jennings moment.
Yeah, no, put the fries in the back. Put the fries in the bag, bro. Your wash. Sorry, buddy.
Anyway. So those are general takeaways.
Yeah, but here's the other thing too: is like, I did see plenty of people. Nick, you mentioned Nicole Auerbach. I saw her on Twitter talking about this. We should be talking about how this is the nobody I think people expected Michigan to take a step back. Indiana had both Washington and Michigan on their schedule. I think we expected both of those teams to take a step back. I don't think we expected them to take as much of a step back as they did. And Indiana beat both of them. Indiana had the best fucking season they've had in college football in God knows how long. I apologize. I'm naturally loud. and when stuff pisses me off,
I just don't want your mic to cut out. That's all.
Oh, I understand. But Indiana had the greatest season that they've had in fucking forever. SMU, we should be laughing. We should be talking about them fucking pissing off Florida State because Florida State got mad that SMU was going to join the ACC, tried to lawsuit them out, and then SMU beat their asses anyway. We should be talking about how, like, a lot of people were pointing. I had people trying to tell. I had one person trying to tell me this is as high as Indiana's going to get, no matter what. Like, bro, this is year one of Signetti, and he just signed a massive fucking extension. Watch what happens when he gets his players in the building through NIL, through recruitment, and watch what happens. Not to mention, Donald Sweeney finally pulled his head out of his ass and is going to embrace recruiting. Embrace NIL.
Embrace recruiting. He hasn't been recruiting in years, boys. He's just been finding people on the street.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I want to say this, Alan. There is no guarantee with Signetti at Indiana. Let's be fully honest there, because we have seen like coaches that kind of have like these great first years or something, and then it turns like somehow they manage to like, wow, they like their first year.
This is the perfect segue to talk about the game. So let's do it.
It's like it's their first year, and they managed to pull off like this amazing season. Man, just imagine what's going to happen when they get their players, and then they just like start dropping down. Like that first season was just like a total fluke.
I understand that, and I expect Indiana to take a step back next year, probably, because because of players coming out, going out, players coming in. But I don't expect Indiana to be this 11-1 team again because of the next year, because of the fact of that. They had a cakewalk schedule, but nobody fucking expected anything out of them. I think in time, Indiana will get back to this point soon enough. I don't think they're just going to disappear off the face of the map the way TCU has in the last couple of years after getting dog walked by Georgia.
Before we go any further, I do want to do two things real quick. First off, shout out to Red Rubber Duck, in front of the channel, for making these graphics that we have up in front of us now for this stream today. It is awesome. And once again, before I get to that, special shout out to Malik Freeman, our captain of the Red Army on Patreon. If you want to unlock special perks, get some behind-the-scene access, or just in general want to be part of a more exclusive community to support the channel, go to patreon.com/red5478. Link is in the ticker down below. Mr. Cynical for 5. Dabo will ask Alan to be the next towel boy.
Question, Alan.
If any of your college teams need a hype guy, let me know. I could use the money.
Same, I could use the money too. And just to clarify, Alan, do you pronounce it Nadeau, like Jerry Nadeau?
See, people ask me that. First of all, I don't know if I'm related to him. I'd love to know. Second of all, it's Alan Nadeau III.
Okay.
NATO, like the alliance, that's political, and we'll not discuss it further. Thank you for the 5, Cynical. Really appreciate it, man.
The only person who's gay in the race is the one who comes in last, which is usually reserved for Buckshot Jones, Dick Trickle, and Jerry Nadeau.
But unlike the other two, Jerry Nadeau has a cup win to his credit and should have had more. There's a Brock Beard video out on him from a couple years ago. Go watch it.
Yeah, sorry, folks. This is now a NASCAR stream.
Let's go.
No, it's not. I'll throw you out now.
Okay.
Decide to make this.
I'm sorry. And just to clarify, that was the. I can't remember. Rick. I can't remember that. He was a comedic singer or something. The song was the Jeff Gordon song, but
all good. All right.
So that's where our line came from. Which I'm just like, Jerry,
we covered this game here on the Red 5478 YouTube channel on Friday night, and admittedly, the score does not reflect how the game actually went. It was a complete domination by God's golden fucking money children at this point. I'm running out of things.
It's so weird. It is so weird because this game and then the SMU game, the whole thing could have been much different if one thing had just gone right in the first quarter for both teams.
That's a very true.
Indiana had a chance to get a touchdown lead. They made this amazing catch. I mean, they picked off Notre Dame on Notre Dame's first drive, and then they're driving down the field. They made this amazing catch on a long third down, and then like the next play, the Indiana throws a interception, gives the ball right back to Notre Dame, and then that kind of just like started the wheels started coming off.
Those first 4 drives were kind of drunk because they were trading turnovers left, right, and center. I mean, Leonard threw a pick, Indiana threw a pick. Notre Dame scored a touchdown. Indiana turned the ball over. Notre Dame scored a touchdown, and then we were off to the races at that point. I'm going to say that the one thing that stood out to me is that it literally Notre Dame played like how I thought they were going to play. It was old school Notre Dame football. They hit you with a little bit of the option. They hit you with a lot of the rushing attack. Leonard was effective when he had to throw, but he didn't have to throw it that much because Price and Love were absolutely on their fucking game. Indiana, on the other hand, from what I saw, they played timid. I don't know what the hell happened with Kurt Cignetti's game plan, but that was not it, man. They played much more aggressive against Ohio State, and they had Ohio State by the balls in the first half. But that game was not it. They did not come out aggressive. They came out flat. They came out scared. They were running the ball way too fucking much. Rourke was not given a chance to use his weapons. Surratt was pretty much shut down, or he was just too scared to throw it his way because he was doubled up the whole game. But when you got the ball to Surratt, the wide receiver, he caught the fucker anyway. So I drum that up to a combination of Notre Dame being the more physical team, and Indiana just not imposing their will with a balanced offensive attack or leaning more on the run. Go Akbar.
I'm sorry, this is a little off topic for a second. I forgot to ask this earlier. Does Indiana play like the same schedule next year, except just like reverse locations, like Texas, Oklahoma? They do this next season, or just like is it a totally different schedule?
Different. They're going to mix it up a little bit. They mix up the schedule every season.
Okay, so it's not like what the SEC is doing.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm looking at it. I just looked it up. So Indiana opens up next season with Christ, Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and this Indiana State Sycamores. Then they get Illinois, Iowa, bye week, Oregon, Michigan State, UCLA, Maryland, Penn State, Wisconsin, bye week, Purdue.
Well, they got a slightly tougher
conference schedule.
Slightly tougher, but I mean, yeah.
But it goes back to what I said earlier. They can't control the out-of-conference schedule when they do this crap years in advance. You can't just be like, never mind, we're good now. Because all these other teams that are...
Careful, Old Dominion almost beat South Carolina.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Well, it's Old Dominion. The one thing that you can't predict is how good your team's going to be in 5 years. And historically, Indiana is not a football school. They're not. When Kansas broke out last season and then, laid an egg this year before, or just going roughshod the final few weeks, like their out of conference was kind of like mediocre. Their game against UNLV for non-conference turned out to be a bowl rematch this past season. So, you can't predict what your team's going to be looking like. When Indiana built that out-of-conference schedule, they were thinking, okay, we need to play FBS teams that we could pay to beat up and get us a few wins. So maybe when we go to Big Ten conference play, it's a little easier to make a bowl. That's what it is. They weren't thinking, okay, we need to be in this 12-team playoff that doesn't fucking exist when we were booking these out-of-conference teams. And I think as time goes on, they might be able to try to add in a tougher out-of-conference team. But you also got to remember, the tough out-of-conference opponents, you got to wait years. So you're going to be looking at
money involved too. Like the bigger schools pay the smaller schools to play them. So that would literally take the NCAA taking a whole offseason and saying, and canceling everything and reworking all the schedules. But then you're going to piss off all the conferences because of all the money that's fucking involved. Because say it with me, kids. Money talks.
No. I say that, not you. Now, say it with
your
me,
voice
kids.
is shit tonight, so I get the privilege. All right?
It's two things. One, it's just the schools are like, hey, we're paying money to beat these guys up. We're paying actual money for this. Yeah, we're paying for the easy wins. And then two, never mind. Dumb joke, unrelated. Sorry.
Okay. So
Continue.
now Notre Dame, I think, proved a lot to me with this win, namely that they're not just, fucking around and going to find out, not going to roll into a wall of fucking trees. And now looking ahead a little bit, we'll get to the full bracket later against Georgia. Suddenly that game's a little bit more favorable because Carson Beck's out for the rest of the playoff. He's not going to be participating in any of the playoff games.
Yeah.
So
True, but their backup that backup pulled out a victory against Texas, so who knows.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be interesting. Yep. So the next game was on at high noon Saturday, SMU versus Penn State.
This is exactly what I said about that.
What the fuck were you doing? You picked this game to have your worst game of the fucking season.
Here's why, and I'm going to be. This is I picked this game as a likely upset because Kevin Jennings, when he is hot, is one of the top quarterbacks in college football. When he's not, he's one of the worst. You don't know what you're going to get until game day, okay? Second, Penn State's offense is trash. If you look at where these points came from Penn State, a lot of them were off of turnovers.
2 pick sixes.
2 pick sixes, and Joe Lard couldn't get shit going early in the game. I legit thought that Penn State was going to walk into this game having used up all their bullshit on us to barely lose in the Big Ten title game and then get steamrolled by SMU. I guess not.
Yeah, SMU thought.
And again, like I said with the Indiana game, SMU was actually wasn't SMU like driving before they get like the pick six or something? Like it could have started off much different. It could have started like with a 7-0 lead and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, they had a chance to. They were driving down the field, opening possession. Jennings, I had gotten off the toilet long enough to watch this game as much as I could in between my paralyzed state of living between breathing and dying, and I did see that opening drive. And SMU was firing on all cylinders. They were methodically, I should say, driving down the field, taking advantage of the early opportunities against Penn State. And then Kevin Jennings, he had a chance to scramble on a 4th and 2 inside the 10 to make it 1st and goal. But he sees a wide receiver open and decides, fuck it, I'm greedy, and then tries to throw a touchdown, which he drops, of course, because it's 20 degrees. And they turn it over, and then the ass whipping began from there because SMU lost its spark.
Oh, if he just decided to go for the first down, or if that guy had caught that ball,
SMU might have struck first.
And by extension, I guess I should have said this one earlier as well. Again, these games, man, I guess we were kind of hoping that, like, okay, yeah, we were going to probably have some blowouts. We didn't think every one of these was going to end up being a blowout. We thought we were going to at least get 1 or 2 of these things that might be competitive. We might get an upset, like a higher seed beating the low. The lower seed beating the higher seed. We didn't get any of that. 5 through 8 all took care of business fairly well, actually.
And again, it should be noted, Indiana playing in fucking Notre Dame, SMU playing Penn State. When you get the home fans involved, shit gets loud as hell. And if you're, again, Jeff Schwartz said it, on Saturday on Twitter. If you have not played in that sort of environment before, you may end up screwed because you have to have that kind of experience. And Indiana and SMU didn't have that. So, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, once Penn State took advantage of turnovers and Jennings just could not get it going, it just was over from there. Sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit. Pardon me. The one thing I'm going to make clear here, I don't want one person, and Doug put this succinctly in the box below in this little comment. I don't want to hear Alabama would have done better against Penn State. They wouldn't have, because they lost 3 games. I don't care how you put it. all on the road. They lost to Tennessee on the road. They lost to Vanderbilt on the road. They lost to Oklahoma on the road.
I swear, Vanderbilt and Oklahoma were trap games for them.
Well, fuck no. Oklahoma was not a trap game. Oklahoma was the Oklahoma.
It should have been after that Missouri loss. That should have been like the end of the season for Oklahoma.
Yeah, and then Oklahoma came out and played their fucking ass off, and Alabama just thought they were
pulled
going
it
to
off
steamroll the Sooners.
amazingly. God, imagine if we didn't have all those injuries and we had a good offensive coordinator, man. Oklahoma.
Anything, I almost wish Alabama would have made it in, so that way they could have lost to Penn State and shut the fucking haters up. But hey, I don't get my wish sometimes.
They would have just moved the goalpost and found a new reason to complain.
Yeah. Well, South Carolina would have done better. Ole Miss would have done better. Listen to Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, no, Lane again. Like I said, Lane Kiffin.
Or Penn State under James Franklin, when he plays like the big teams, like the real power teams, he keeps always fumbling it.
Jim can swim. I like this comment. Can we expect a Lane Kiffin video after the season ends?
Oh my gosh.
I'm considering him and Brian Kelly.
Oh shit.
But first, let me get through the playoff video because I gotta get that off my docket before I can do anything else. But yeah, I don't think there's much else really to say here because at the end of the day, you gotta fucking you gotta hand it to Penn State. You know, their defense played excellent. If I was Boise State, though, after watching that piss poor offensive performance, knowing that Bo Prabula is on his way to Mizzou, I think the Broncos are going to be very happy on New Year's Eve. That's my prediction right now. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate the comment as well. Thank you for the well wishes. Let's move on to the next thing, Alan.
Already did it.
All right, cool. The closest game, honestly, if you think that.
Because like I said before, that Indiana.
Twitch chat.
Do not recognize the boss. They're not worth our time. Yeah, Diamante.
No, it's a Twitch bot. It's a thing that pops up in Twitch chats. You just delete it. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but anyways, what I said earlier, the Indiana game was, don't believe that box score. That game was basically over. Most of Indiana's score came. Pretty much all of Indiana's score came in crunch garbage time. This one was literally the closest, and it could have been even closer had something towards the end gone right. Because honestly, Clemson was starting to make a comeback. They actually got it to within 7 at one point in the fourth quarter. They got it to within 7 in the fourth quarter, and then Texas immediately runs a 77-yard run for a touchdown.
Yes,
is that what happened? Yeah, 77-yard run for a touchdown, and then once again Clemson's down 2 scores. But their next possession, they're driving again and get all the way into the red zone. They get to the goal line, and then Texas pulls out the ultimate goal line stop. Either that, or from what I heard, Clemson had no creativity when it came to goal line plays. Both
are true.
Well, what happened? Here's the thing. I didn't watch any of these games. I didn't actually watch any of these games. I was just looking at the ticker.
I slept the majority of this game because I finally got a break from praying to the porcelain gods. But I did catch that last drive, that goal line stand, and it was very clear to me that they had used up the playbook because they were very not creative in that one. It was I would say that in terms of what I'm feeling at this point, I feel like Texas definitely looked good and they had a dominant lead and they did what they had to do to beat Clemson and put them away. Clemson's always a tough team in the playoffs. I don't care what year you're looking at. Very rarely does Clemson get embarrassed. I think the last time Clemson got embarrassed in the playoffs was against Ohio State in 2020, believe it or not. But I would say that most of the times if you see Clemson in the playoffs, you need to be worried. And Texas they actually gave up a touchdown early to Clemson to start the game off. Clemson took the lead early. Texas then got up on them and didn't really let go, but Clemson kind of fought all the way to the end, which is a lot more than I can say Yeah, there you go, Jim. They kept it close for 3/4. Then Texas ran away with it, literally. Do I laugh at Clemson getting yeeted out by the Longhorns? Do I laugh harder at Miami dropping the crystal ball against Syracuse to not even make it in? Decisions. Yeah. Say what you want. I mean, the ACC, they definitely did not belong in the automatic bye for their conference champion this year. Because
but Tulane fucked the ball in one of their late games, so they couldn't get in. And what are you gonna do? Put in 11-1 Army? They proceeded to lose to Navy in the Army-Navy game. What are you gonna do?
That would have been hilarious if Army got into the playoff and then just shit themselves against Navy, and then they had to go play this game.
At that point, just put Notre Dame back as the 5 seed and we get we get Notre Dame Army again. Just be like, oh, you came back for round 2? Time to whip some ass again.
Yeah, belt to ass. So, I mean, this was the game that I figured was going to be a blowout just because of how piss poor Clemson has been as a whole this season. Not to mention they were definitely the team that you can argue if it wasn't for their conference championship, they should not have been here. And if the playoffs were done correct, they shouldn't have been in here, even if they did win the ACC. But, hey, what are you going to do? So let's go to the next one. This is the last one. I think there's not much to say about that. And this one has a lot to say, and nobody's fucking saying it because, your SEC
because
bias.
SEC bias.
I'm guilty of that.
Well, your team is in there, so what are you going to do?
And also I follow I don't really know any folks that do this kind of stuff SEC shorts that Matt Mitchell does with the other conferences. I don't see anyone that also Funny Jermaine. There's I forget one other guy, but he does kind of he kind of spreads around a bit more of the he was the guy that was playing Tennessee in the Oklahoma and Texas joined the SEC video. The one that took that cool.
I gotta stop you, Akbar. Stop. Hold your thought. Pause. Thanks to Cynical, I gotta do this.
I love Zepp's comment. That cathartic screaming after losing against Michigan may have summoned some beasts from the deep red. What is the secret to your sorcery?
Black magic and hookers. Moving on.
With blackjack and hookers.
Yeah, well, we're going to take that black magic and shove it straight up your ass on New Year's Day, motherfucker.
Okay, god damn it. Now I got to reset for real. All right, Akbar, finish your thought, man.
Okay, yeah. I can't remember his name for the life of me right now, but he's the one that he's Tennessee in that video, and he has that Kool-Aid burst that he smashes and he tries to use it like a broken beer bottle. But he does trash talking between the several teams of each other, but he's not as really SEC biased in a way he was doing he did a video of Oregon and Ohio State trash talking each other and all that stuff. But like I said, I guess that is kind of part of the bias. Is then you got these funny internet comedians. They seem to be focusing all around the Southeast Conference. So, but at the very least,
because the
SEC. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay, SEC shorts though. Just earlier today, they let loose on Tennessee. Man, they did not try to they did not hold anything back. They were and so did Matt Mitchell. They were both geez Louise, Tennessee, wait a minute, make this look like a joke. And Texas, also kind of a joke because you didn't beat freaking Clemson by 50.
Again, go watch Squintard's video. He laid it into Tennessee, man. I kind of wish he could have been here tonight. And I wish I had brought this up to Red sooner to ask him to jump on. Because holy fucking shit, man. Again, like I said, if you've watched Your Dating Tree get pissed off about the Steelers, specifically 2017 and 2020, then that's what you got with this video that Squintard dropped today. He is pissed the fuck off, and I don't blame him. And I said this on Discord, and I said this in his live stream chat because he was on at 8. You are the Penn State of the SEC. You're good enough to be near the top. You're not good enough to be at the top, no matter what the fuck is going on. You could have been at the top with Georgia and Alabama cannibalizing themselves, and yet you went out and you lost to Arkansas, and then I think you lost to Georgia as well, after also beating Alabama. So
Yeah, yeah, my dad always says like the SEC, it's only like 3 teams every year, basically, and and the usual suspects. It's either an Alabama dominating year, Georgia dominating year, LSU dominating year, and then you get the occasional like say outliers like Ole Miss is having a really good year, or Auburn. Strangely, like it's off and on,
Auburn
but
hasn't been relevant since they beat us in the BCS championship game. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. They haven't been relevant since the last BCS title game against Florida
When they
State.
lost to Florida State in the last BCS championship at the Rose Bowl.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I don't think
exactly.
they've done anything really since.
Yeah, they really haven't. But anyway,
Where's the consistency?
Let me kind of put this into perspective here. As an Ohio State fan, by the way, shout out to my sister for the new hoodie. This one's pretty fucking slick. The Buckeyes, I honestly was dreading this game because Ohio State came out so fucking flat against Michigan. But when you listen and you read about the attitude around the city, let me tell you something, man. No. Let me tell you something, man. The comments about Nayland North, the fans literally in a Roosters telling Jack Sawyer, one of the Ohio State players, what the fuck happened against Michigan? Why can't you guys seem to win these big games? And everybody just getting on and on and on about this fucking team. You think you need motivation? How about having the entire fan base literally damn near this close to rioting because we lost to Michigan for the 4th year in a row, and now we have to go into a playoff against Tennessee, and they bought out 30% of the seats because some dipshit at Ohio State couldn't make a fucking season ticket holder code for the presale. So let's just make this clear. Ohio State on its own is already a tough enough team to beat. Yeah, we lost to Michigan 13-10. Michigan only beat us by 3. They caught us napping. When Ohio State's awake, they're dangerous. When Ohio State is pissed the fuck off, run for your bunkers. There is no escaping from Ohio State when they are playing pissed off. Just ask what happened in 2014 when everybody was dogging on them when Cardale Jones became the backup quarterback for the third string backup quarterback to start that season. And then we smoked Wisconsin, beat up Alabama, and sorry about the championship, Alan. So like that is hey man, I don't know what to tell you there. I was gonna say something. And by the way, looking forward to New Year's Day. The one thing I want to make clear is that Ohio State spent $20 million on NIL, as everybody reminded me. Yeah, you spent $20 million in NIL for that. I'm like, yeah, for this right here, we spent $20 million in NIL to beat the piss out of an SEC team that was looked at as equal to us, but in reality, wasn't.
No.
We would have done the same thing to Alabama. We would have done the same thing to Ole Miss. Guaranteed.
Well, see, here's the thing.
I don't know. I don't fully know about Alabama. I will, and this is partially coming as an Alabama fan, even though, like I said, I'm OU first, but then Alabama second. But I'm just like, I don't know. Alabama, it might have been a different story. Who knows? We'll never know. All I know is that Tennessee, even Squidtard was saying, like, man, I was not having very much confidence with Tennessee early on. After that Oklahoma win, he was just like saying, shoot, we didn't like just absolutely crush Oklahoma. Something might be wrong with us. And then after that Arkansas win, it was just like, yep, I knew it. This season's a wash. We're friggin' going to end up like losing 5 games or something. We're going to end up,
and then they beat Alabama, and then he did the equivalent of urinating tree going Yinzer mode when they finally beat the Patriots in the regular season during the Roethlisberger era in the late 2010.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh! Now I'm remembering that what the F is a catch play, and they're just like, oh my god, they're gonna do it! They're gonna be doing
No,
this! I
not
never
that.
thought it was.
Well, I think it was like a year or two later, but anyway.
But that by the way, that scene is still hilarious.
Funny. Yeah, still.
That's still hilarious to this day. But
It's just the thing is, and we've rehashed this multiple times. Ryan Day tried to be way too fucking cute against Michigan and decided not to have Will Howard throw the ball to his top receivers. That was the clear fucking difference between that game and this game against Tennessee. He actually
Jeremiah
threw the
Smith
ball
and
to
Emeka Ibuka opened up a can of whoop ass on them.
Yeah, but here's the thing. This was confused. This kind of confused me. I thought Tennessee had a good defense. They could not stop Ohio State at all
Their front four is pretty good. Their front defensive line is pretty good. The secondary is kind of soft, as we all saw.
I think I had a tweet about that I think from Jeff Schwartz. That popped up.
I will say one thing.
Actually, no, sorry, from Brandon Koretz. Michigan used bracket coverage on Jeremiah Smith, kept two high safeties, and baited Ohio State into running the ball against an elite D-line. Tennessee insists on leaving its corners on an island with no help. Brutal game plan by Tim Banks. Michigan gave him the blueprint. Then Jeff Schwartz, who quote tweeted that and said, I just watched most of Ohio State's offense on film from last night. Tennessee was a mess on defense. Too much man coverage. Other times the secondary looked lost. Eyes on the wrong guys. And the tackling was poor. Tennessee's defense was dog shit. And I'm hoping Oregon gets their defense together after the way we played against Penn State, because I mean this game is going to be another nail biter, but you know,
for sure it's going to be a classic.
Yeah,
I definitely wanted to say just the sheer fact that okay, two things. One, it's just like Tennessee could not do anything on offense at the start. They just I was looking at like the ESPN shows like the it shows the field and it shows like the down, the play, and all that stuff. And I'm just looking at the stats and I'm just seeing like Nico's the only one like doing any of the rushes. They're like, what the heck is going on? Does he keep scrambling out and keep getting tackled at the line of scrimmage? Because I'm not watching the game. I'm just like, what the heck is going on?
Dylan Sampson also went out early, and they had another player that got knocked out with a leg injury. But
yeah, I think if Dylan Sampson stayed into the game, it might have been a little bit closer, but still, like, that would have made it
there was one point
30 loss instead of a 42-17 loss.
There was one point, though, where it was looking like, Tennessee might actually come back into this. It was right at halftime. They were down 21-10. They finally started moving. And it was just like, I guess the NCAA sent the message to Ohio State. Yeah, try not to beat them too bad. Let them come back into this thing. Let's make it close because we're looking like we're getting egg on our face here. And then Ohio State just like and then it was the thing. Tennessee would get the ball back at the start of the second half. And I was just thinking, okay, all Tennessee needs to do on this first drive, score a touchdown, and then suddenly it's a game again. They got stalled, and then Ohio State immediately turns around, scores a touchdown, and then that was pretty much it. Then Ohio State just started going.
It wasn't just a touch. It wasn't just they scored a touchdown. It was a beautiful, lovely little moonshot to Jeremiah Smith. My God, what a pass! I don't want to belabor the point because I'm a biased Buckeye, but I am very happy that we got this win. It proved a lot of skeptics wrong. It shut up a lot of the SEC bias online, at least for the night, until the next day when people woke up and remembered SMU happened. And it also
and Texas and Georgia are still in it.
Yeah, so that's that. Let's move on to the bracket, Alan, if you wouldn't mind.
Yep.
Getting that up. Here we go. So after all of that, this is where we currently stand. On Friday, New Year's Eve at 7:30 Eastern, Boise State and Penn State will meet in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. Boise State, I believe, is going to win that one and shut up a lot of haters. But we'll talk about that in a moment.
Literally, the only way Penn State wins that game is if Ashton Genty either doesn't play or if the defense literally does not allow him to run the ball.
Let me get to that here in a moment.
Genty might run for fucking 300, bro. He might.
Get to that in a moment. New Year's Day, the first game on tap will be the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl between Arizona State and Texas. Bevo banned from Mercedes-Benz Stadium because they don't have the room. New Year's Day at 5 p.m. because tradition. It is an old Pac-12 big matchup. Oregon and Ohio State square off in the Rose Bowl for the third time ever. And Ohio State has beaten them twice before in the Rose Bowl, I might want to add.
Yep, except we've beaten you the last 2 times we played you, so.
Oh,
true.
God.
So this is
God,
going to be a unique game.
You know what's insane? We could have really had a chance for like for 2 games to go 3 times. If Ohio State hadn't lost to Michigan, we would have had Oregon versus Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, and then they could be playing each other again in the playoff for the 3rd time. And there's still a chance Texas and Georgia might rematch each other, which I believe if that's the case, it's the national championship.
Well, yes. Either way, the nightcap after the Rose Bowl concludes will be the All-State Sugar Bowl between Georgia and Notre Dame. Let's kind of break down some of these contests. And by the way, the winner of the Rose Bowl and the Peach Bowl will face in the Cotton. Winner of the Sugar and Fiesta will face in the Orange. Those games will be on December 10th and December 9th, respectively.
January, not December.
My bad. January 9th and 10th. With the national championship occurring on Monday, January 20th, I believe.
Yes.
I had it right earlier. So let's kind of go and break this down a little bit here. And I do want to start with the Fiesta Bowl, not just because of the fact that it is going to be the first game on the docket.
Why does Tostino's not sponsor that anymore? I love that.
I don't know. That was a great sponsorship. It was such a cool look with the logo.
Oh, being a sponsorship of the Pop-Tarts Bowl. When's Pop-Tarts?
The Battle Frog was a weird-ass sponsor for Fiesta Bowl that one year. Anyway, Boise State, Penn State. I like Boise State a lot in this contest, and I'm going to tell you why. Penn State's offense is horrifically anemic at times. Yeah, they got a great running back, and Drew Allure, when he's actually playing well, can, play okay. But at the same time, fucking hell, hold on. Fucked up, the setup. There we go. And I'm going to actually stand up real quick because my legs are falling asleep. I need a new chair. When it comes to Penn State, I do not see Drew Allure coming out of the gate firing on all cylinders because Boise State's defense, although it's not elite, it should be good enough from what I've seen to shut down Penn State's offensive attack to start the game. And then you got to remember, okay, Penn State's got an elite defense. Got it. That's been very clear against their game against Penn State, or SMU, I should say. Ashton Jeanty is not the only good player on the field. Maddox Madsen, the quarterback, is also very good. He's only thrown 3 interceptions all season. That's nothing to stick your nose up at. So I do like Boise State a lot. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but the Broncos know a thing or two about winning Fiesta Bowls. So
yeah, they do.
Winning this one.
I mean, I want to see Boise State win so fucking bad, just because if James Franklin and the fucking Nittany Lions lose to Boise State because of, if it's a blowout, if it's a close game, I don't think Franklin gets fired. If it's a blowout, Penn State will seriously consider firing him because of the fact that it's Boise State. Like, yes, they have the bye. Yes, they're a conference champion. It's still Boise State. And because of bias, if you're the Big Ten, you're thinking you should be able to win this game. If they lose, and if Jeanty runs for 200, 300 yards on their asses, and Maddox Madsen has a perfect game, which they might have to do, what do you do then? You just lost to Boise State in the fucking Fiesta Bowl. And now Boise State would have a chance to play either Georgia or Notre Dame. Like, what the fuck? So if I'm Penn State, I have to win this game somehow. But I do think Boise State has a very good shot to win this. The only way they don't is if Jeanty gets stymied, and if at that point Boise State can't do anything. If their playbook is literally, give it to Jeanty. I mean, The game that Genty got injured in the regular season, they damn near lost that game.
Yeah, true.
So
you shut down Genty, your odds of winning increase exponentially, but that is a very tough task to do. Oregon had a hell of a time trying to contain him in their game earlier in the season. So.
Oh yeah, no, we can tell you from experience, we beat them by 3, and we were being looked at as frauds because we came out sluggish against Idaho, came out sluggish against Boise State. Boise State's the real fucking deal. And if they somehow, some way, get all the way to the national title game, and if we happen to meet them there, if we win, we win. If we lose, I ain't got a problem with that. Because, Travis Hunter might have won the Heisman, but Genty has a chance to win the fucking Natty. So, we'll see.
Fair enough. All right. Let's talk about the Peach Bowl a little bit here. Arizona State, Texas. This is a very interesting matchup. You got two teams that, on paper, you just ignore the seedings for a second. Texas is a very lopsided favorite here, I think.
They are. Once again,
explosive offense.
Yeah. And this is another situation where, for Arizona State, if you stop if Texas can stop Cam Skibodeau, or however the fuck you say his last name,
Skibodeau.
I don't know if Arizona State's got enough.
Skibidi.
This might be Georgia TCU Redux. No offense to Arizona State, y'all have had an insane season. You were predicted to finish last in the Big 12, and yet here you are. Texas, this is oh god. This might be a game where Texas puts in the backups in like the second half. And I hate saying that because I want Arizona State to pull off the upset. I would love it if they did. But again, Quinn Ewers, he played really well against Clemson. And even if he played like shit, I don't know if that's enough for Arizona State to win.
Okay.
He could throw 5 interceptions like Kyle McCord did against, I think, Pitt or whomever he did that against this season, and fucking Texas could still win. I'm like if you're gonna be biased about any game in the playoffs, this is the game to be biased about. I don't know if Arizona State's got enough firepower to pull it off.
What I'm going to just say here is Arizona State, thanks for coming. I have no hope in the Devils upsetting the Horns here at all. No. I genuinely do not have any hope for them. And the main reason is this. Texas actually has a defense, and it's pretty solid. It's fairly good. Arizona State does not. As we all know, Iowa State kept it kind of close, and then then Arizona State pulled away. And Arizona State at times has looked kind of rough. Now, don't get me wrong. Sam Leavitt, the quarterback for Arizona State, fucking freshman. Dude's a phenomenon. He's going to be a great quarterback next season. I dare say dark horse for the Heisman. Just saying. Next year. He's going to be really, really good. He's just got to get better wide receivers out there because right now, your best wide receiver, I think his name is Tyson, he's on the shelf for the duration of the playoffs. So your wide receiver core stepped up and did well in the Big 12 championship, but this is the playoffs. This is against Texas. You're not going to be able to outmatch. You're not going to be able to beat up these corners too much, I don't think. And I don't know if Cam Skibodeau is going to be able to run wild on this Texas defense. But as the saying goes, any given Saturday, we've seen crazier shit happen. Let's move on to Georgia, Notre Dame. A couple of things I want to be clear about here. Carson Beck is going to be out for the duration of the playoffs because he just had his surgery done today on his elbow, so he is done for the season. That said, Gunnar Stockton, a lot of people want to hype him up. I don't know if he is. I don't know if this kid's Cardale Jones for Georgia and he's going to come out and just put up a gun show against the Irish, or if this guy is just your standard backup and he'll be serviceable but ends up losing out because he's just not quite ready for the moment. I didn't see enough of him in the SEC championship to really get a gauge on him, and I don't think anybody really did, to be honest. I expect this one to be close. I think Georgia will find a way to win, but I also have a distaste for Notre Dame to begin with. So, take with that what you will.
If Notre Dame pulls this off, if they beat Georgia, we all need to be fucking scared because at that point, because then they gotta go. Because then at that point, it's Notre Dame versus Boise State. Either Notre Dame pulls out the bullshit against Georgia only to get beat by Boise State, and end this fucking run of theirs, or Notre Dame's going all the way to the national title game, which should have us all rightfully scared. Now, Georgia could walk out there and beat the fucking piss out of Notre Dame. And we'd all be like, ha ha, fuck you, Irish. Go back to Notre Dame, go back to Indiana, go fuck yourselves. I think we need to take this Notre Dame team serious, man. I mean, look, all it takes is if Riley Leonard throws, plays like shit. But if Marcus Freeman can beat Kirby Smart, then that right there just justifies the contract that he got. Like, I'm just saying, man.
It would also shut up a lot of SEC lovers.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, because which would be funny because then if Texas beats Arizona State, then the only SEC team left is the team that joined the conference. Like, that's the thing. Like, here's the thing. You look at this you look at what the Final Four could be. You could have Oregon, who joined the Big 12 or Big 10 this year, Arizona State, or Texas, who joined their respective conferences this year, get into the Final Four. And then, a Boise State team who's still in the Mountain West, who is apparently who could jump to the Pac-12, and Notre Dame and Independent. Like, that's the real chaos of this whole situation right here.
And I want to say this because this also opens up one hell of a can of worms. If Notre Dame pulls this off, if they go through the whole thing and win the national championship, this is going to shake up college football quite a bit because then everybody's going to be looking at what Notre Dame did to get to the playoffs in the first place. Look at their schedule. They go independent and they get to pick a Charmin-style schedule and easily get into the playoff. They basically just spend most of the season just beating up on everybody and just figuring out what works and what doesn't. Without having any real risk of being left out of the playoff.
If Notre Dame's not only that, but if Notre Dame somehow wins this, Northern Illinois, you are going to get blamed for this. The same way people kind of look at the Columbus Blue Jackets unleashing the Tampa Bay Lightning on the league for the last few Stanley Cup finals up until this past year. Because, remember, when Columbus swept Tampa out of the playoffs in the first round a few years back, like Tree even fucking said it, Tampa Bay needed to blow it up. What do? Win the next two cups and lose in 6 to Colorado the third time. If Northern Illinois just unleashed a Notre Dame dynasty on our asses, good fucking Lord Almighty Jesus.
I honestly feel like the age of dynasties might be coming to an end in college football because of NIL. That's a discussion for another day. Still. That's a discussion for another day. And finally, the one matchup I think me and Alan are very curious and interested in, Oregon, Ohio State, traditional Rose Bowl, quote unquote. Well, we got one of these. We got the first round of this, and it was a 1-point victory for the Ducks. And you already know this game is going to be broadcast on the YouTube channel.
So hopefully the Ohio State QB doesn't pull another Prescott.
Look, man, I'm excited for this.
Me too, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. Obviously,
I rewatched that. I rewatched that live stream, and I still to this day I can't believe that's how it ended. It's like, dang it! It would have been nicer if basically the Ohio State had just tried to kick the field goal and they at least missed. It would have been funny, but it's just like, well, they had the chance. If maybe they had one play that went right and got a bit closer, maybe we could have won it. But it's just like, no, they had to end it in like the dumbest way possible.
Well, let me just say this right now. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen in this game with Oregon.
No freaking idea.
I really don't have a clue. Ohio State's pissed off. Oregon is very much on a roll. The only undefeated team left in all of FBS is the Ducks. Tradition says that Ohio State should be favored to win this game, but as we all know, tradition is dead in college football, so I don't fucking know anymore. The Oregon beat Ohio State once already this year. I think this is going to be another one of those. And then we're going to see a similar fireworks show that we saw in the first round between these two teams. It's going to come down to the final quarter, the final drive. Whoever has the ball last is probably going to, win the game. I feel like this time around.
It'll definitely be decided.
But I'm just going to say, Alan, that stream's going to be a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'll actually be there for it this time, and because I'll be at home.
Yeah.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, I want Oregon to win because we have to go win the national title, bro. Like we have to at this point. Like this is the this is the year to do it. If we lose, I can't be mad. Like I should be because we got shafted in terms of how the bracket lined up.
That addendum to the Wounded Duck video is going to be fun to make if you lose.
Oh my! Fuck you, asshole! Fuck you. I agree. The gods needed this, but look, you're coming back to our side of the country, and again, we should have everyone fucking healthy for this game. Jordan Burch should be back. Tez Johnson played in the Penn State game, but still, I think Burch did too. But regardless, everyone should be healthy. Everyone should be 100% that's available.
Yeah, but you also have been sitting on your ass for a few weeks.
Yeah,
Ohio State's warm.
Yeah, but but you played. We haven't. But remember, we have Dan Lanning as our head coach. Dan Lanning is not going to let this team sit on its laurels and fucking be complacent. He's probably had them busting their asses through this break, ready to fucking go. And look, Oregon basketball on the men's side is still fucking undefeated. This is Oregon's motherfucking year. Our year. And we're not going to fucking let you guys take that from us. We are sending your asses back home to Ohio, pissed off. Your nuts drained because you ain't got no bucks left to spend.
Nuts drained? What the fuck?
Why does everything keep coming back to sex on the here?
I don't know, Akbar. I really don't. But with that said, we are going to move on to the final topic I did want to touch base on tonight. Recent breaking news that is going to impact college football for years to come. The NCAA gets owned in court again. Diego Pavia wins JUCO injunction and is now eligible to play another season of college football despite playing a year in JUCO. Furthermore, despite the NCAA disputing the ruling and appealing, they have immediately, admitted defeat and decided to grant waivers to all student athletes who have played a year of JUCO ball, allowing them to play one more season on top of what they have already played. So I want to address this because a couple of people are like, oh, we're getting to a point where, you can play college football forever. No, you can't. Let's pump the fucking brakes. You can't. You got to be enrolled in a school, and there is a finite amount of years you can play. NIL makes it more imperative, especially for players who are not of NFL caliber, which, face it, Diego Pavia is not an NFL quarterback, to maximize their earning potential. So that's a win for the college football student. The idea that we're going to get to a point where players can be like, well, I'm just not going to leave school. Yeah, you're overreacting bad there. I'm sorry. The one thing that I remember, I've been kind of scrolling around online and going back and seeing people reacting to this kind of shit. And a clip from Mike Leach, rest in peace, showed up where he talked about the idea that universities should adopt a two-system program for college football players. They can either play football and get a degree, and like they can now, or they can play football and get a football degree, which basically prepares them for life in pro sports, NFL, coaching, etc. That's more football centric. That could solve a lot of problems now, but it keeps a cap on the number of years that you're enrolled at these schools. You get 5 seasons. You get, on average, an NCAA football player athlete gets 5 seasons to play 4 years. You get 5 chances to play 4 years. If you play JUCO ball, now you get the chance to play an extra season as a graduate. As long as you're still enrolled within the school in some capacity. It's the key there. You still got to be enrolled in the school. If you are injured to shit, you can continue to play until you hit your, full eligibility to play. Like, for example, if I were to go back and play football right now for Division III NCAA Wilmington College, I would have 2 years of eligibility remaining because I was a dipshit in my spring semester and I flunked out academically. So I would need to be on probation for 1 season, and then I would still have 2 tries. I would have 2 years eligibility of play time left. So the NCAA has a clock on that shit, and that's not going to go away. This ruling doesn't change that. It just makes players who had to start in JUCO or you could probably extend this to NAIA as well, or Canadian U Sports, and then make the transition NCAA and have full eligibility. So if anything, it makes JUCO a more enticing prospect for players that may have some issues academically that can't quite get into NCAA right out the gate, and they need a year or 2 in JUCO to get going. I don't know what you guys' opinions are, but you tell me.
I agree.
Pretty much. I got really nothing much to say on that other than welcome to the dawn of Diego. Oh, y'all screwed. Take him to Hog City.
Yeah. Yeah, Auburn, you're fucked. Auburn's
PTSD is going like crazy.
PTSD.
Oh, Akbar. I like right where we go. I do online college, sir. And the answer is no, because I only take 2 to 3 classes a semester.
So I'm the only one who's actually graduated from an FBS school.
Yeah, congratulations.
Class of 2020, Houston. I'm just busted. I'm just busting chops.
Poor bastard. You poor fucking bastard. All right, guys. That's gonna wrap it up for this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Next time you'll see This Week in College Football will be after the quarterfinals are played in the college football playoff. Since we're now in bowl season and going into the off season, we're gonna be doing these kind of bi-weekly since there's not gonna be as much to talk about, supposedly. But if anything changes, we'll let you know. A couple of brief announcements. Obviously, based on the schedule we have coming up, the plan is we are going to be streaming Ohio State versus Oregon, the Rose Bowl, here on this channel on New Year's Day at 5 o'clock Eastern, as tradition. We're only going to do that game. I know last year we did Rose Bowl, and then we did the Sugar right after. I'm not doing that again. That was a lot, as Illogical and Duck can tell you. But we're going to do the Rose Bowl New Year's Day. I might do the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Eve. We'll have to wait and see about that one. But at least the Ohio State game will be live streamed. And I am working on the next video that's going to come out that I'm going to make for the channel. It's the playoff video that we've all been waiting a year for. Once this voice is back to normal, I'm going right back into the studio and going to start doing voiceovers again for it. I'm going to try to have it out by the national championship. No promises, but I'm going to try my best. Might be a little late, but you know what? All good things come with time, and I've waited a year to get this done, and I really want to get it done. And finally, be on the lookout for some video game streams coming up down the pipe. We're going to get the Akron Dynasty series restarted. We might be trying to stream that once a week here soon. To just do something different during the off season. But thanks again to Alan Nato III for joining us on this stream.
Hey,
He's
you got
been
it
an
right this
Akbar
time.
fan as always for joining us on the stream again. And thanks to you all for joining us tonight. It's always fun to do these streams. And if you like what we do here, you can either donate to the channel on these streams one time only, or you can do monthly contributions on Patreon. That's patreon.com/red5478. All the perks and benefits are listed there. You can do $3 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month. I don't usually throw people up. I'll throw that up too often because I don't want you to feel like I'm begging you for money. Special shout out again to Malik Freeman for being our first Patreon and our only Patreon donor right now. Thank you very much, Captain Malik Freeman. And I will see you all here very soon. Enjoy the bowl games this week and have a safe and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to one and all. Take care of yourself and enjoy your time with your families. Have a good night,
Go
guys.
Ducks!
Go Bucks. Ducks suck.
Fuck you!